Hey everyone, and welcome. So we all know parrots can copy what we say, right? It's kind of their thing. But what if I told you that behind all those colorful feathers and funny impressions, there's a mind that can actually use logic? Today, we're going to dig into the surprising truth about parrot intelligence, and trust me, it goes way, way beyond just simple mimicry.
So that's really the big question we're asking today. Are they just feathered tape recorders? Just repeating sounds without any real understanding? For the longest time, that's pretty much what everyone thought. But as we're about to see, we might have been seriously underestimating these incredible birds.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at their skills in logic. Then we'll walk through the super clever experiment that revealed it all. After that, we'll uncover a strange little twist in the research, explore how they learn from each other, and finally, we'll zoom out to see what this all really means.
All right, let's jump right into our first section. We are officially moving past the idea of just imitation and into the world of genuine, actual reasoning. Okay, so this is the main takeaway, and it is a huge one. Scientists have now found that African gray parrots can perform logical inferences, and that's a kind of reasoning that, until pretty recently, we thought was basically exclusive to humans and our closest relatives, the great apes. So, you might be wondering, how in the world did they figure this out? Well, it wasn't with some crazy complicated puzzle. It was with a surprisingly simple and honestly brilliant experiment called the shaking cup test. And here's why this is such a big deal. The researchers themselves point this out. This ability to make logical deductions is a fundamental part of what we even consider intelligence. So the whole test was designed to see if another species, a bird, shares this core ability with us. The setup is really straightforward. An experimenter hides a tasty treat, in this case a walnut, under one of two cups you can't see through. Then they pick up one of those cups and shake it. Now if the cup has the walnut inside, it makes a rattling noise. Simple, right? The parrot just has to follow the sound.
But here's where the real magic happens. What happens if the experimenter shakes the empty cup? It makes no noise at all. The real test of logic is whether the parrot can make a two-step deduction. Okay, they shook that cup. It was silent, which means it's empty. Therefore, the walnut has to be in the other cup, the one they didn't shake. That's called inference by exclusion, and it is not easy.
And get this, the results were absolutely stunning. The parrots consistently picked the right cup. They weren't just following a sound, they were correctly interpreting the absence of sound as a key piece of information. They were actually thinking it through, not just reacting. But science is rarely a straight line. And this experiment came with a really weird twist, one that actually tells us even more about how a parrot's mind works. So this is where it gets really strange. The researchers made one tiny change. When they shook the cups side to side, horizontally, the parrots were geniuses. But when they shook them up and down, vertically, their success rate completely tanked. They're basically just guessing. What on earth could possibly cause that?
Well, the best guess the researchers have is that the up and down shaking motion looked way too much like a parrot's own head bobbing, which is a common social behavior for them. It's possible that this familiar movement just totally distracted them, or maybe triggered some kind of social response, messing with their ability to focus on the puzzle. It's such a fascinating peek into how instinct can get tangled up with high-level thinking.
So we've seen that parrots can reason about the physical world, but that whole head bobbing thing hints at something even deeper. Their intelligence isn't just about figuring out puzzles with objects, it's also profoundly social. And that right there is the key to understanding their most famous skill: talking.
Yeah, this logical ability isn't just a one-off trick. It's part of a much bigger cognitive toolkit. And to really get how parrots learn something as complex as human speech, we have to look at the work done with probably the most famous parrot in the world, Alex the African Gray.
See, Alex wasn't taught by just getting a treat for making the right sound. He learned using this incredible technique called the model-rival method. It's this dynamic social setup where the parrot learns not by being trained at, but by watching two humans interact with each other. So here's how it works. The trainer holds up an object, say a key, and asks another person, the model, "What's this?" The model says key. Now here is the crucial part. The reward isn't a sunflower seed. The model is given the key itself to play with. The parrot watches this whole thing and starts to realize, oh, saying the right word gets you that cool object. The model is also a rival for that object, which makes the parrot super motivated to jump in and try it themselves. And this just perfectly shows the difference. Traditional training, or operant conditioning, is very mechanical. You make a sound, you get a food treat. It's basically a transaction. But the model-rival method is completely social. The reward is actually related to the word, and the learning happens in a meaningful context. Honestly, it's a lot closer to how a human toddler learns language, by watching, wanting to be included, and trying to join the conversation.
Okay, so what does this all add up to? Let's zoom out for a second and connect all these dots.
So let's put it all together. What we're seeing is that parrot intelligence is incredibly complex. They are not just mimics. They can understand cause and effect. They can reason from a lack of information. They are really sophisticated social learners. And maybe most importantly, their intelligence isn't robotic. It's deeply connected to their natural bird instincts.
And all of this leads to this really powerful idea in biology called convergent evolution. Think about it. The last time birds and mammals had a common ancestor was something like 300 million years ago. But here we are on these totally separate branches of the evolutionary tree, and you have apes and parrots both developing similar high-level reasoning skills. It proves that complex intelligence isn't some random fluke. It's a solution that evolution has actually discovered more than once.
Which leaves us with one final big question to think about. Knowing that these animals have minds that are capable of logic, of inference, of social understanding, that really changes how we see them, doesn't it? It challenges us to think differently about their lives, both in our homes and out in the wild. So I want to ask you, if an animal can reason, what does that reason demand from us? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you found this fascinating, please hit that subscribe button for ZeroFacts and ring the bell so you don't miss our next explainer. Thanks for watching.